Okay. I figure now, let me take the bit of an opportunity because there's a sudden, as my friend told me, a spike in terms of a dramatic torrential downpour of rain not that far away from me. And so I knew that it wasn't just getting dark. It really shouldn't get dark this early at this point in the year. So I felt my joints kind of lock up pretty quickly in terms of pain, kind of skyrocket. I thought, I knew that I was tense and some other obviously stuff as usual going on, but in this case, I kind of knew something was up, and sure enough, when she told me the downpour, I'm like, okay, barometric pressure. Taking a nosedive, and therefore, of course, my painful joints. Taking a dive in terms of their mobility. So, which is to say, it really is rather fast. I was out not all that long ago, which is to say about 3-4 hours ago, and I was walking and I was able to swing my arms pretty freely back and forth as I was carrying a couple of things back with me. Which altogether I carried less than 5 pounds. Okay, so it wasn't a big one in terms of weight, even for my hands. But and of course now, as opposed to, let me try to do this real opposed to me trying to move my arm all the way up because it's really bad. This is what I was doing, and I was doing this back and forth. Both arms, and I was doing that at a pretty normal pace, which is to say about 2 seconds per direction swing. Yeah, I just tilted my head. That was enough to increase the pain. It gave you an idea of when I mentioned the concept of with folks about barometric pressure with regards to those of us who do have arthritis that is pretty widespread. Don't think there's a joint, in fact, at this point that doesn't have it. And I'm rather on the young side for osteoarthritis, which is what I'm dealing with in terms of the barometric pressure shifts affecting me. I'm 32. Okay. February's not that far off. I'll be 33, but still, most people do not have as advanced arthritis as I do right now, when they're even 64 years old. And that's because of the underlying condition that I was born with called Elhers-Danlos joint hypermobility, Elhers-Danlos syndrome joint hypermobility type, where my joints act in terms of joint cartilage like elastic bands as opposed to hard plastic. So all of my joints can go in and out of movement, in and out of their proper alignment, proper placement socket, with just normal movement. And that abrasion through the years, because of, in part, the delayed diagnosis, that's what caused, and that's what did pretty much all of us, just altering this so that I don't have to strain my back again. That's what causes for all of us with this type early onset osteoarthritis, which is why in my hands it started to affect me when I was about 8 or 9. Sure, it's like by 10 it was really there. So it's continued to very much progress. By the time it was 15, 16, it was very much present in my ankles and knees, and by the time I was 18, forget it was everywhere. So now I am a 32-year-old who's had arthritis in every joint for more than a decade. About 14, 15 years. I have a couple of damaged vertebrae, acute discs in my neck, which is why that's generally increased pain. I also have an unfused vertebrae in my lower spine. Between those two defects, that's kind of why sometimes my feet and hands are numb. Slash they kind of fall asleep, pins and needles, and sometimes they just don't feel like they're there. So I have to look, especially at my feet sometimes, to make sure that they are indeed walking properly, or to figure out what the heck they're getting themselves into, so to speak. So at times it does make things interesting. But the reason, again, why I'm coming on at a time like this, which is not the easiest in terms of pain, is that no matter what, I'll be dealing with this for a long time. It's also, though, a reason why I am long-term going to be moving to a better climate for my needs. And it definitely illustrates the construct of climate change. Because climate change, and I've studied this, I'm an environmental studies major, I've taken a good number of science classes in addition to the societal aspects of it. It creates more extreme weather phenomena. So, it didn't used to be that storms would necessarily appear out of the blue in the 5 boroughs of New York City. It just didn't happen. Okay. Whereas, unfortunately, I've dealt with this a good number, at least 4 or 5 times, and I've been in the 5 boroughs for less than 2 years. Actually, not much more than a year. We arrived in May of 2015. May either 12th or 13th, maybe 14th, but around then, just about 2 weeks into May, and therefore, since we're in September, a year and 3 months, basically, a year and 4 months, a year and a third. And my plan at this point, once I at least complete my bachelor's degree, law degree, it's debatable at this point as to whether I'll complete it before I move, as opposed to trying to go to a law school out there or to a correspondence school or something. But either way, Arizona seems to be the destination at this point for me. I need a climate that the barometric pressure shifts are not as extreme. I need something that does not have as much rain, or precipitation as a whole, because that is in line with the barometric pressure. Because in addition to being affected by just the barometric pressure concept, because of the issues with my legs, with my spine, snow and rain both, they're extra hazards for me, especially when they're unpredictable. Don't get me wrong, I'm still strong. Muscles, keep in mind, muscular wise, I'm still quite strong in everything except for my hands. They're rather weak. But my shoulders are still quite strong. My legs, forget it. They're still really rather rugged in that sense. I still walk really fast. The MAP program tends to assume that normal walking speed is 5 miles per hour. I generally walk between 10 and 15 miles per hour. That's normal for me. I could actually up the pace than that, probably to 20, and and yes, that's me walking around fast with my joint braces and my cane. So again, when you consider the concept of climate change, when you consider the concept of more extreme weather conditions, understand that it's not just like for me with the EDS, or the early onset osteoarthritis, but everyone who has arthritis, osteo or rheumatoid, but a little bit more so osteo, which frankly is pretty much everyone over the age of 60. Okay? At least to some degree. Because that's the arthritis associated with natural aging. So everyone upwards of 60, really, even if it's mild, they have it. And if we want the population in this country, in this world, to age in a healthful way, to age in a way that's less painful, then we have to understand that climate change is actually a part of that. Because this is real. I know there aren't a load of studies regarding the synovial fluid in terms of that. Basically, the barometric pressure affecting the synovial fluid in the joint, which is, say, the joint capsule fluid, but they are out there. And more importantly, I know what I feel, as do many of us. This isn't asking a plea for, oh, pity me, no. But it is a plea for you guys to wake up to the fact that this is a real struggle for many, many people in this country, many people in this world. There can't really, to be honest, be a quote-unquote cure for arthritis. Okay, there can't be. I mean, that's why when I kind of find it funny in terms of to see the National Arthritis Foundation in terms of a cure for arthritis. The arthritis is the wearing away. It's the wearing out of the tissues inside the joint. It's the wearing away of the joint itself. You can't cure a disorder, a condition like that. It's not even. I mean, you could say it's a disease in the sense of it's a malady, and therefore malady is a disease, but it's not in the sense of possibility for quote-unquote cure. It's not in that category. I don't know that it really should be. It's a disease that unfortunately it's a condition, and that's why I don't even like to refer to it as a disease, because it doesn't fit my definition of one. But early onset or osteoarthritis is a condition that must be maintained, that must be indeed given treatment, but it's like trying to cure old age itself. And I say this as someone that has every intention, especially looking at my family tree, of making it and seeing my 95th birthday and possibly beyond. Yes, EDS, my condition is painful. But one of the most wonderful things that I found in my researching of it is that as painful as it is, it's not life-threatening at all, in terms of my particular form of it. It won't decrease my lifespan in the slightest, and so therefore I will continue to do this, endure this, and I will continue to do my activism, and I will continue to live my life forward to having a family in the not so incredibly distant future for another 60, maybe even 65 years. Yep. I could, as odd as it might be for me, for people to hear me say this, even though it right now hurts to just nod my head, I really do relish the concept of seeing my 97th birthday as a 32-year-old woman. Shalom. L'chaim. Live long and prosper.